Your legs are not just limbs, they are your lifeline. They determine whether you can walk to your car, climb your stairs, play with your grandchildren on the floor, or get up from the sofa without assistance. And after the age of 60, the biology of your legs begins to change in ways that are quiet, gradual, and dangerously easy to dismiss as just getting older. Muscle fibers begin to shrink, a process called sarcopenia. The small blood vessels feeding your muscles lose their elasticity. The nerves that carry signals from your spine to your feet begin to slow down. And when specific vitamins fall below the levels your body requires to function properly, every one of these processes accelerates. Not gradually, rapidly. Research published in leading journals, including the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition and Clinical Interventions in Aging, has confirmed that nutritional deficiencies are among the most under-recognized contributors to declining leg function in older adults. And here's the part that troubles me most as a physician. The symptoms are so easy to misread. A little more fatigue than usual. Legs that feel heavier than they used to. Mornings where it takes longer to get moving. Most people chalk it up to a bad night's sleep or simply the passage of time. But sometimes, many times, it is something far more specific and far more treatable. Now let me tell you about the first vitamin, because what it does inside your muscle tissue may genuinely shock you. Vitamin D. I know, you've heard this before, but I need you to set aside everything you think you know about vitamin D for just a moment, because the way it's been explained to most people is dangerously incomplete. Yes, vitamin D supports bone density, but that is only the beginning of what this molecule does in a human body. Every single muscle fiber you have in your quadriceps, your calves, your glutes, your hip flexors contains vitamin D receptors. These receptors act like ignition switches. When vitamin D binds to them, they activate the machinery that keeps your muscle fibers contracting powerfully, recovering efficiently, and resisting fatigue. When vitamin D is low, and research suggests that more than 40% of American adults are deficient, with rates significantly higher in adults over 65, those receptors sit idle. And your muscles, no matter how hard you try to use them, cannot perform the way they're designed to. Studies from institutions including Harvard Medical School and the University of Manchester have demonstrated a direct, measurable relationship between low vitamin D levels and muscle weakness, increased fall risk, and slower recovery after physical activity. Falls, I want to remind you, are the leading cause of fatal and non-fatal injuries in Americans over 65. This is not a small concern. This is a crisis hiding in plain sight inside millions of homes across this country, and low vitamin D is one of the key mechanisms driving it. But here's what I need you to hold in your mind as we move forward, because the second vitamin I'm about to reveal affects something even more intimate than your muscles. It affects the wiring of your entire body. Your nervous system is the architecture behind every movement you make. When you decide to take a step, your brain fires an electrical signal that travels down your spinal cord through a network of nerve fibers and out to your legs. And that entire process takes milliseconds when it's functioning properly. But in many adults over 60, those nerve fibers are being quietly damaged. Not by disease in many cases, but by a deficiency so common, so widespread, and so chronically overlooked that I have had patients who suffered for years before anyone connected the dots. That deficiency is vitamin B12, and what it does to your legs, your nerves, and your mind when it drops too low is something every person watching this needs to understand deeply. After the age of 50, your stomach lining gradually produces less of a compound called intrinsic factor, a specialized protein that your gut requires in order to absorb B12 from food. This is not a lifestyle failure. It is biology. It is happening in tens of millions of Americans right now, silently and without warning. As B12 levels fall, the myelin sheath, the protective coating that wraps around every nerve fiber in your body, the way insulation wraps around an electrical wire, begins to deteriorate. And when that sheath breaks down, nerve signals lose their speed, their clarity, and their power. In your legs, this shows up as tingling in the feet, burning sensations, unexplained weakness, or that frightening feeling of your legs simply not responding the way you expect them to when you stand up quickly. What makes this especially dangerous is that B12 deficiency mimics aging so precisely that most people and many physicians dismiss the early warning signs entirely. Research from the National Institutes of Health has shown that up to 30% of adults over 60 may have clinically low or borderline B12 levels. But here is the detail that I find most alarming in my own work. Low B12 doesn't stay in your legs, it travels upward. It has been directly linked to elevated homocysteine, a toxic amino acid byproduct that, when it accumulates in the blood, damages arterial walls, inflames brain tissue, and accelerates cognitive decline. Studies published in Neurology and the Journal of the American Geriatric Society have found that seniors with low B12 and high homocysteine show measurably faster rates of brain shrinkage and significantly higher risk of dementia. Your legs and your mind are connected by the same nutritional thread, and when B12 is missing, both begin to unravel together. Now, before I reveal the third vitamin, and this is the one that most surprises even my medical colleagues when I present it in clinical settings, I want you to do something for me. Think honestly about your legs right now. Do you get cramps at night that wake you from sleep? Do your calves ache after a short walk that never used to bother you? Do your feet feel cold or numb in the evenings, even when the room is warm? These are not random nuisances. These are signals. Your body communicates through symptoms long before a crisis arrives, and learning to read those signals correctly is one of the most powerful things you can do for your long-term health. What I'm about to tell you about the third vitamin explains exactly why those symptoms occur and what is happening inside your blood vessels when they do. The third vitamin is vitamin K2, and I want to be precise here because there is a critical distinction that most people and many supplement labels get wrong. The K1 found in leafy greens plays an important role in blood clotting, but it is K2, specifically the MK7 form, that performs a function so precise and so vital to your vascular health that it deserves your full attention. K2 activates a protein called matrix GLA protein, which acts as your body's arterial cleaning crew. Its job is to prevent calcium from depositing inside blood vessel walls, a process called vascular calcification. When K2 levels are adequate, calcium is redirected away from your arteries and guided into your bones where it belongs. When K2 is deficient, that calcium begins to harden inside the very vessels supplying blood to your legs. The clinical consequences of this are serious and measurable. Research published in the Journal of Nutrition and large-scale European cardiovascular studies, including the Rotterdam study, which followed thousands of participants over a decade, found that higher K2 intake was associated with significantly reduced arterial calcification, lower rates of cardiovascular events, and notably better peripheral circulation. When the arteries feeding your leg muscles become stiff and calcified, blood flow is reduced. Your muscles don't receive adequate oxygen. You experience cramping, heaviness, fatigue, and the kind of aching discomfort that makes you want to sit down and stop moving, which, tragically, accelerates the problem further. K2 is the vitamin that keeps those channels open, flexible, and working the way they were designed to throughout your 60s, 70s, and beyond. Here is what I want you to walk away understanding today. Vitamin D activates the muscle fibers that power every step you take. Vitamin B12 protects the nerves that carry every signal from your brain to your legs. And vitamin K2 keeps the blood vessels open and supple so that every contraction, every stride, every movement is properly fueled. These three vitamins do not work in competition with one another. They work in concert. They are a system. And when even one of them falls short, the entire architecture of your lower body begins to compensate, strain, and eventually decline in ways that feel inevitable, but are, in many cases, completely reversible. I want to leave you with this. The body is extraordinarily resilient. I have seen patients in their 70s regain leg strength they thought was gone forever. I have seen nerve symptoms improve, circulation restore, and energy return. Not because of dramatic interventions, but because the right nutritional foundations were finally put in place. You are not powerless here, but you do need information, real information, delivered honestly, without shortcuts. That is what today was about. Now I want to hear from you directly in the comments below. Tell me, which of these 3 vitamins do you believe you may be deficient in? Have you experienced leg weakness, nerve tingling, nighttime cramping, or circulation problems that no one has fully explained to you? Your comment might be the thing that helps someone else watching this finally connect the dots on something they've been quietly struggling with for years. Share this video with someone you care about, a spouse, a sibling, a parent, because this information belongs in the hands of every person over 60 who deserves to keep moving, keep living, and keep thriving on their own terms.